Okay, hey everybody. Welcome back to my channel, Straight Out of Context. I'm Barbara Ann. This is Mocha. This is a beautiful Mocha, aren't you? Here, you want to sit next to me? I also have Bosco between my feet. Our 6-year-old, almost 6-year-old pug. Yes, I know. They're gonna be wherever I'm at usually. I know, it's cold outside, huh? Okay, so we left off with... Excuse me. Let me take a drink really quick. She likes to play with my paintbrushes for some reason. She likes to knock them off the table. If you can't see all the paintings that I've been working on. Anyways. There's... I can see her. She's so used to me going, every time I hear her start to mess with them. So we left off with the summation of Nicholas Godejohn's of his interrogation, and we were on page 6. Mocha, what are you doing? What are you doing? Are you getting into mommy's paintbrushes this year? Here, we'll put you down here so distract you. Okay, so we left off with the summation of Nicholas Godejohn's interrogation. And we were on page 6, and we did the first 3 paragraphs. The last paragraph said that Nicholas said when he and Gypsy had sexual intercourse in Gypsy's bedroom, it was not the first time that he and Gypsy had sex. Nicholas explained that when he visited Gypsy in Springfield, Missouri in March of 2015, he and Gypsy had sex in a bathroom within a movie theater. Nicholas said that Gypsy was wearing a blue Cinderella dress and a blonde wig when he had sex with her in the bathroom of the theater. Nicholas said that he took Gypsy's virginity when he had sex with her in the men's bathroom. Nicholas explained March of 2015 was also the first time he had ever met Dee Dee. Nicholas said that Dee Dee was very nice to him. He just calls her Dee, by the way. I'm saying Dee Dee because that's just what I'm just so used to Dee Dee, not Dee. It feels just weird to me, so I just say Dee Dee. Nicholas, however, refers to her as just Dee. Nicholas said Dee Dee was very nice to him. However, the night got ruined in some way. Nicholas said that after he and Gypsy had sex in the bathroom, they watched the movie and he said his goodbyes to Gypsy. Nicholas said that Gypsy was in a wheelchair when he met with her in March of 2015, and they met in a public place. See, I always had come to the conclusion that the wheelchair was just for the public, for a public persona, because if this is the same movie theater that Gypsy and her mom knew the manager of, they used to go to the movie theater all the time. So the people that managed the movie theater, if it was the same one, are people that were used to seeing Gypsy in a wheelchair. It would have been a red flag if they're like, oh, hi, Gypsy. We've known you for all these years. What are you doing walking? So I'm just assuming that, of course, out in public, that's why she was still using the wheelchair. But again, when she was a child, that was one thing. But in March of 2015, she's just a few months shy of her 24th birthday, right? So he says that Gypsy was in a wheelchair when he met with her in March of 2015. Nicholas said Gypsy only had to be in the wheelchair at home, which would make no sense, right? This is what he thinks. This is his perspective speaking here. He said only he and 5 other people knew Gypsy could walk. Nicholas explained further, stating Dee Dee wanted everyone to think Gypsy was 16 and disabled. He said, yeah, she felt kind of trapped on a wheelchair when I was actually trying to encourage her to be able to walk more and more. Nicholas described the wheelchair as being motorized. Nicholas said Gypsy had no problem walking and can walk up and down stairs without any assistance. And this is where her medical records are key in this piece here, because her medical records prove that her leg muscles never atrophied. Muscles start to atrophy after just 24 hours of immobility. That process can start happening. Nowhere in Gypsy's medical records does it ever state she ever had any kind of muscle atrophy, especially in her legs or lower extremities. Why that says a lot to me, it tells me she was walking, because muscles, if you don't use them, you lose them. You literally lose the ability to walk. She had to have been walking every single day, but not out in public because people weren't seeing her. So she was definitely doing it behind closed doors. And that's why I think the front facing windows of their porch, their front door, and the front living room, where people can actually see from the front of the house, from the street, from the yard, from the front porch, from the door, why those were the only ones that had the privacy clings on them, and not all of the other windows for the bedrooms or on each side of the house, to prevent people in the front of the house being able to see in and see her walking. And Ken confirmed that fact on a live several months ago. And she has never answered the question, two of them. Why were you walking inside the house all the time? And why were you pretending to be a mentally disabled child? Because even at 12, 16, 18, nearly 24, she was pretending to people out in public that she was a mentally disabled child. She was partaking in the Special Olympics. She was partaking in all of these things with other cognitively impaired young people and children. And could you just imagine being Gypsy, looking around, knowing that you don't belong there, and yet you're participating, knowing that you don't belong there? And she has always known her age. That is something that we have just fundamentally always known. Always known. I don't need a FOIA request from 14 months ago to tell me that. I have my 7 other FOIAs that tell me the descriptions and what was said. So that's why these summations and these supplemental reports, especially in casebook number 2, are critical, because it does give you a lot of context besides just a summation of their words. It's also giving you what the detectives themselves are summarizing as well. So that's why I think they're really important to go over. So we're on page 6. We're continuing on. That was paragraph 4, that she had no problem walking. She can walk up and down stairs without any assistance. That means that she had always walked. Every single day she was getting out of that wheelchair behind closed doors and walking, because she never had any issues. But it's also very interesting in her medical records that there are several areas I noticed where it says PT reports, meaning like patient reports, especially in regards to her having tingling from here all the way down, meaning she was partially paralyzed. That was presumably the need for the motorized wheelchair, correct? Well, do you remember in the prison confessions of Gypsy Rose Blanchard, the clip where she starts talking about, or the doctor starts talking about how he made Gypsy's mom leave the room and he wanted to talk to Gypsy alone, and the mother was kind of apprehensive to do it, but she did it. He has Gypsy stand up out of the wheelchair, and Gypsy does it. Gypsy says, I have no recollection that never happened. Is it that I'm wrong, or that these doctors are just trying to cover their ass because of malpractice? Don't quote me verbatim, but that's pretty much along the lines of what she says. And yet she said recently on a live that she has all these different memories and she doesn't know which one is real. That she does have a memory that she stood up, and then she has another memory that she didn't. In the prison confessions of Gypsy Rose Blanchard, she was adamant that she did not do that, that he is lying to cover his own ass, and actually defamed that doctor by claiming malpractice to cover his own ass. I mean, that there was something wrong or something that was done for him to have to cover his ass. So that was really interesting, because she is admitting that she did actually stand up. That it's very well plausible. She just might not remember it exactly. Then don't you kind of have to correct that publicly? You said that in a mainstream media documentary that's still available on streaming services. That doctor was lying, and that he was lying to cover his own ass, when that's not actually true. Somebody is trying to help me locate that clip, because I know some of you may have seen it, and I know it's still floating out around there, but that's when she talks about how she she's confused because she has one memory and then she has another and she doesn't know which one is real. But she specifically mentions that time at the doctor's office, standing up. And this is around the time she's, 16? And she does it. And that's why the doctor is presuming that it's either Munchausen syndrome by proxy. Because notice Gypsy does it. Her mom's not in the room. So technically, Dee Dee would have never seen her actually stand up in front of the doctor because she was asked to leave the room. I thought that was interesting. Okay, so she has no problem going up and down the stairs without any assistance. Nicholas explained that when he first came to Springfield, Missouri in March of 2015, and then the second time in June of 2015, Gypsy paid for his travels to and from Springfield, Missouri. Nicholas said that Gypsy sent him cash in the mail for both trips. So he didn't really pay for it. She paid for it. Nicholas said each time Gypsy had sent him $400. Nicholas said in reference to killing Dee Dee, he had a weird feeling he was going to get caught. Nicholas said he was not sure when it was going to happen, but he had a weird feeling in his stomach that he would. Nicholas said that he and Gypsy have cried multiple times over what happened. Nicholas said, I told her, this will haunt me for the rest of my life. Because that's the truth. It will. Verbatim. He says, I told her, this will haunt me for the rest of my life. Because that's the truth. It will. That's pretty profound to me. Just that sentence. While clarifying questions, Nicholas said when he arrived at Gypsy's home on the night he stabbed Dee Dee, Gypsy met him at the front door. Nicholas said Gypsy was wearing a long, dark, brunette wig. He said she already had the knife and a pair of blue/green gloves for him to put on. Nicholas said Gypsy had not been wearing gloves at the time she handled the knife. Or presumably the gloves that he was supposed to wear. Why is that? Was she purposely wanting to get her DNA all over the outside of things that Nick was using in the crime? So that way it also ties him not only to the crime but to her, to make it look like she was abducted or something? I think that's why she lied to investigators in her interrogation about having a cell phone. She was still trying to cover up the fact that she had a cell phone. But that's really interesting. Gypsy had not been wearing gloves at the time that she was handling the knife, or the gloves to hand to him. Nicholas said he and Gypsy had gone to the Waffle House restaurant to eat while they were in Springfield, Missouri. He said the Waffle House was located right next to the Days Inn hotel he and Gypsy had been staying in. Nicholas said while he cannot recall the exact day, he did recall it was around 8 a.m. Nicholas said he was able to remember the time frame because this was a time when he was reminded that Gypsy is lactose intolerant. Nicholas said he ate a steak and cheese omelet with raisin toast and hash browns. Now we're going down to page 7. Paragraph 1. I again asked Nicholas when he got to Dee Dee and Gypsy's home if he knew he was going to kill Dee Dee. Nicholas responded, I pretty much at that point, I made up my mind that is the only option at that point. So I just went right for it. And I had latex gloves on, something like that, so to try and hide my fingerprints. Nicholas explained that when he arrived at Gypsy and Dee Dee's home, that Gypsy let him inside, that Dee Dee had been asleep. He said Gypsy handed him 2 latex gloves, which he described as bluish or green in color or turquoise. He said then Gypsy handed him the knife. Nicholas said the latex gloves were used to hide his fingerprints. I asked Nicholas if Gypsy had gloves on when she handed him the knife. Nicholas responded, her fingerprints will be on the knife. Her fingerprints will be on the knife. Nicholas continued by explaining Gypsy had not been wearing gloves when she handed him the knife. Or the gloves that he had to wear. Because if she's not wearing gloves, she handed him the gloves and then the knife. So her fingerprints would presumably be on both. I asked Nicholas if he put the latex gloves on inside or outside of the home. Nicholas explained he put the gloves on outside of the home as he was walking inside. Nicholas explained it was a part of our plan, and she is the one that thought of that part of the plan. I told her to get her butt in the bathroom because that's what she wanted to do. That's what she wanted to do, to try to give herself plausible deniability and to remove herself from the crime. That is what she wanted to do, and I had to remind her to get to it right away because I wanted to get this over with and get out of there as soon as possible. Now remember, this is like 2:20, 2:30 a.m. and they don't even leave the house till after around 5:30, something like that. Nicholas denied he ever went into a shed that was on the property, and he denied ever getting into Dee Dee's vehicle. I asked Nicholas what type of sex he and Gypsy had been having. Nicholas explained that he and Gypsy had been experimenting with sex, and that while the sex has been rough, Gypsy has become used to it and she enjoys it. Nicholas explained further that the sex was violent, rough. Nicholas said that while he never struck Gypsy in any violent way, he has bitten her, and he has used all of his force while thrusting his private part into Gypsy's private part. And they are explicit. His P into Gypsy's V. Nicholas said with regards to biting Gypsy, she would have marks and or bruises on her body from the biting because she had asked him to do that in a way to mark my territory. She asked him to do that in a way to mark my territory. Nicholas said the first time he had bitten Gypsy, it was because she had whispered in his ear that biting was a turn-on of hers. Nicholas said he has only bitten Gypsy twice, and while he could not recall the first time, he did recall the second bite was on her right arm. Nicholas had explained that Gypsy seemed to enjoy the second bite, even though he thought it was a very hard bite. I asked Nicholas about bruising that had been observed on Gypsy's knees and legs. Nicholas said that they might have occurred when Gypsy was crawling around on the floor, cleaning up blood at her and Dee Dee's home in Springfield, Missouri. I asked Nicholas if he had asked Gypsy to clean naked, to which he stated he had, and that it was a turn-on for him. Nicholas said while he did ask Gypsy to clean while naked and crawling on her hands and knees, she did find it easier because she was at eye level with the things that needed to be cleaned. I asked Nicholas if he thought it would have been a turn-on to have sex with Dee Dee. Nicholas stated that it was not a turn-on. I explained to Nicholas that I was asking this question because at one point Gypsy had stated that he mentioned he wanted to rape her mother, sexually assault her mother, Dee Dee. Nicholas said at one point I was thinking about it. I did actually mention it, that I was thinking about it, but then I changed my mind because I had felt bad for just the whole situation of having to kill her mom in general. I felt bad for the whole situation of having to kill her mom in general. Like he is being manipulated or coerced into it. It's almost like he didn't realize that he had another choice. And I'm not saying I'm just saying that's how it's sounding. Not saying that he didn't know that he didn't have another choice, but that's just kind of like the way that he's wording it here. I had felt bad for just the whole situation of having to kill her mom in general. So I decided to just kill her quickly. Nicholas denied touching Dee Dee in any sexual manner, either prior or following her death. I asked Nicholas how long he thought it was that he was stabbing Dee Dee. Nicholas said maybe 5 minutes, maybe. I asked Nicholas if Dee Dee got an opportunity to punch or hit him during the stabbing. Nicholas said Dee Dee was trying to grab onto him, but he was able to get himself free. Nicholas explained he was not on the side of Dee Dee while he was stabbing her. Rather, he was straddling Dee Dee as she laid on her stomach on the bed, which made it a whole lot harder for her to resist. Nicholas said Dee Dee did try to put up a fight. I asked Nicholas if he said anything to Dee Dee while he was stabbing her. Nicholas said he did, and it was like a different form of myself, though. The thing is that I don't know if she told you. I don't know how much she told you about me. But the me you're talking to right now is my normal good self. And that's the reason I feel the guilt I do, but the one who actually did all of this. The thing is, the good side of me refused to do it. And that's why it was instant that it all happened right away, because my evil side is what actually did it. Nicholas said the evil part of him told Dee Dee she was dead to him. Nicholas said many things were said to Dee Dee, but he could not remember all of them. He did recall saying, "Stop resisting. You know you're dead." Nicholas said he has multiple personalities. However, he has never been diagnosed with such. Nicholas said while he does not take medication now, he used to take medication for the voices he heard in his head. Nicholas said Gypsy also has an evil side, and that she refers to as Ruby. When talking about Gypsy's evil side, Ruby, Nicholas recalled while stabbing Dee Dee, he told her, "Never get between me and Ruby." Nicholas went on to explain that Gypsy had another personality that she likes to call Kitty, which he explained is that of a little girl. He said she also uses candy. I asked Nicholas if the good part of him that kept mentioning what was going on, what got him on the bus to go travel to Springfield, Missouri to kill Dee Dee. Nicholas said it was, however, the killing was solely the evil part of him. Nicholas said the killing of Dee Dee was the only time his evil side ever come out in his life. Nicholas said besides killing Dee Dee, he has never harmed anyone in his life. I asked Nicholas about Facebook posts that had been made from the Dee Dee and Gyp Blanchard Facebook page with regards to someone being harmed. Nicholas said he does not know the password for the Facebook page and that the postings were made by Gypsy. Nicholas said Gypsy had made the posts prior to him having any knowledge of them. Oh, like she does to Ken today, post on all her social medias, and he has no idea what she's doing until after the fact. Well, that's a repeat behavior, if there ever was one. They were made by Gypsy, and that he had no knowledge of them prior to. She kind of surprised me with it, Nicholas said, when Gypsy told him about the posts. He thought, what the heck? She kind of freaked me out, Nicholas said. He felt Gypsy had made the post to speed up the process. Nicholas went on to explain he felt Gypsy wanted law enforcement to get involved more quickly and to get people's attention. I think she wanted to frame him because she realized once getting to his house that this isn't the fairy tale that I thought it was, because it never is with anybody. And she did that. I think that's also why she tried to say that her daughter was slashed like a pig and, sexually assaulted, all of that. This next one is highlighted. I asked Nicholas if he and Gypsy hid anything other than the knife. Nicholas stated that he had hid money they had stolen from Dee Dee, which Nicholas explained as being Gypsy and Dee Dee's savings. Nicholas said he took the money from Dee Dee's bedroom after he had killed her. He said when entering Dee Dee's bedroom, if you make a quick right, and there would be one drawer dresser. He said the money was in the drawer of that dresser. Nicholas said the money was contained in a pouch. Nicholas said that Gypsy had told him where the money was within the bedroom so he could retrieve it, as she refused to go in the bedroom where Dee Dee was deceased. Nicholas said with regards to a safe that was located in Dee Dee's bedroom, somehow Gypsy got out of the safe because we had a lot of money. Nicholas said he and Gypsy took thousands of dollars and they had barely used any of the money. Nicholas said that they intended on saving the money as a nest egg, like she and her mom did. Isn't that what her mom did? Nicholas said the money could be located in his bedroom within a backpack. Now, this is almost at the bottom of page 8 now. We got 2 more to go. And speaking with Nicholas about the money he and Gypsy spent, he confirmed he and Gypsy had gone to a Walmart located near his hotel room. He said they went the day before they were to leave for Wisconsin. Nicholas said he purchased condoms, a 2-liter of 7-Up, and lip balm. Nicholas said he went to the store alone because Gypsy had friends in the store and she knew someone would recognize her. Nicholas also stated that he had gone to Walmart alone on one occasion. However, he cannot recall the exact date. Nicholas said when Gypsy was with him, they took a taxi to Walmart. At 01:44:42, into the interview of Nicholas Godejohn, I stepped out of the interview room to speak with Greene County Sheriff's Office Deputy Stan Hancock. In review of the video footage while I was out of the interview room, it should be noted that Nicholas had stated, "Oh, I gotta tell her that." Quote, unquote, "Oh, I gotta tell her that." And quote, "That's the only thing I can think of." Inaudible. "I didn't realize they were going to have a female talk to me. I didn't realize a female deputy or detective. I am so out of it. I am so out of it. I'm so worried about our Gypsy though." Unquote. It continues with another quote. "I'm going to ask her a question maybe she can explain to me an answer to. I'm going to ask her, besides being honorable, what does the truth? Where does the truth get me besides that? Because the reason I ask this is because me and Gypsy plan on lying our way through this because we didn't want to, because we didn't know how much you guys knew. If we knew how much you knew, we would probably preferred it. At first, I did not know how much was known, and then until she came down. I'll wait for her, though. Apparently, she's going to come back in at 01:48:10. While looking up to the right, Nicholas appears to smile briefly, then look towards the camera. Nicholas then begins talking aloud again, stating, "I don't know if I'm going to be able to see her. I really don't know." And unquote. That's where the quote ends. I entered back into the interview room at 01:48:42, at which time Nicholas wanted to know where telling the truth would get him, besides just being honorable. I explained. So it's almost like he was kind of rehearsing what he was then going to say when they came back to the room, right? I explained that I could not answer that question. I asked Nicholas if he had ever killed anyone else, and he responded, "No. I know I haven't." I think you would remember that. He remembered this in great detail, so it clearly can't speak to his frame of mind or anything, but clearly he had really great articulation of in memory of details and things, even down to the turquoise blue-green color. It's a mix of blue and green. I asked Nicholas if he had ever thought about killing anyone. Nicholas responded, "Well, I might have had the thoughts going in my head, but I haven't actually done it until it happened to Dee Dee." I asked Nicholas right there. So her friend Bree says this all the time, that he had these dark thoughts and fantasies. And even Gypsy said that he had dark thoughts and fantasies and he was going to do this to somebody else. No, you found him. You found him. You messaged him. You made your relationship exclusive after only 4 days on ChristianDatingForFree.com. And then you proceed to continuously talk to him for 2 years and 8 months. If you really thought that, why did you continuously talk to him? It was as simple as not responding to him, not sending him anything, cutting off all communication. It's really that simple. So this is something to me that like goes both ways. It's not he's more culpable or she's more culpable at this part is in relation to the actual crime. But this is where I think that Gypsy very much was more the manipulator, and that's evident. That's very evident in the way that he is speaking. And it's just so crazy to me that they try to paint him like he has these dark fantasies and all of this. And he says, "Well, I might have had the thoughts going through my head, but I haven't actually done it until it happened to Dee Dee." Yeah, because he was manipulated for 2 years and 8 months. I asked Nicholas if he thought he would ever kill anyone else. Nicholas responded, "I can't see it happening." So this kind of shows, like, people have bad thoughts all the time. I mean, people get angry. Everybody on planet Earth, all 8 billion of us, get upset. Anxious, scared, upset, mad, angry, overwhelmed, and we think things that aren't sometimes holy. But like I said, those are your own internal thoughts. Those you cannot be persecuted or prosecuted for. So, I mean, I don't think you should be judged on that. But the fact is there's no, like, evidence that he actually had these kinds of thoughts prior to meeting Gypsy and her putting these things in his head. Even the incident at McDonald's, which I have the whole report of. He's not actually doing anything inappropriate. He doesn't get charged with anything inappropriate. Not only that, but they had already been in a relationship for over a year. Going to McDonald's to use their free Wi-Fi to update something, which was very common in 2015 because I used to do it myself when I didn't have the internet, to update my phone or to use their free Wi-Fi. But also, it's a good place to be able to send videos and pictures when your service sucked and it wouldn't send. And apparently that's what he was doing. But it also doesn't give us any like real conclusive background or proof that Nicholas Godejohn had these really bad thoughts. He only had this thought one time before that he mentions, but he never did anything until this actually happened with Dee Dee. And then she asks, would you ever kill anyone else? And he says, I can't see that happening. Yeah, because you're not going to be manipulated by somebody else like Gypsy. That's like so profound, because that shows you just what she does, what Gypsy Rose Blanchard does, the profound effect she has on the people that she talks to, that she claims to love bombs, the way that she gaslights and manipulates them. That's why I say going outside of my own perspective and trying to get into his, or trying to even get into hers, or even the detectives. It's hard to be objective for a lot of people, especially if you are not a fan of Gypsy, but just trying to look from an objective standpoint. But he does admit that he had different personalities, but is that actually related to personality disorders or, disassociation or split personalities, whatever the actual term is for that? Correct me if I'm wrong, because he's not actually explaining that. It's like the kids on TikTok. It was really common like a couple years ago for them to claim, I have DID, and I have this one and that one and this one and that one. And the thing is, it like doesn't usually really work like that, because a lot of times your personalities aren't going to be like, aware of each other. And they make it sound like it's some kind of weird like role-playing game or something. I just always thought that's really weird. So it continues on. I asked Nicholas if after he had stabbed Dee Dee and after he had sexual intercourse with Gypsy, and that they packed all of Gypsy's items, did they ever go back into Dee Dee's room and move any of the blankets from Dee Dee's body? Nicholas denied ever moving any blankets from Dee Dee's body. Nicholas said neither he nor Gypsy called 911 in an attempt to get Dee Dee any help. Nicholas said the first time his mother met Gypsy was at the bus station where she picked them up in Wisconsin. He said that his parents think of him as the innocent type. Same way Gypsy made all of society think she was the innocent type. So they would never have suspected him to kill anyone. Nicholas said his family, well, see, this is the sad part, is if only they knew how deep the person that he was talking to, like that relationship was getting to the point of, somebody had already attempted murder on her mom twice before ever meeting him. But had they known that, like, that one simple step could have intervened to try to pull him away from communication with Gypsy. That might not have worked, though, because he was of legal age. He was an adult. But it's just really sad to think. Just really sad. Like a tornado meeting a volcano, how I explain it. So it goes on that they didn't move any of the blankets. They didn't call 911. And that obviously they get to Wisconsin. Nick's mother, Stephanie Goldhammer, picks him up. He continues on that they never would have suspected him to kill anyone. He says that his family has never, in 26 years, seen him do anything evil. For 2.5 decades, plus 1 year, they have never seen him do anything evil. What changed all that? Meeting Gypsy did. And look at Ryan. Ryan's life has crumbled apart. His reputation has crumbled apart. His life is in shambles and ruins from living as man and wife for not even 50 days with that woman. And she's already cheating on him. For what? For what? For what? At the conclusion of my interview with Nicholas, I asked him if he had ever if anything else that he had wished to talk about with me. Nicholas stated he did not, and he stated that the reason he lied initially about what occurred was because he and Gypsy had agreed on a lie story. And that's the reason I went with it. And then I learned she told you everything. So I just let it all out. I asked Nicholas what he and Gypsy's lie story was. Nicholas said that they were going to say that he had come to Springfield by bus, got a hotel, and Gypsy began texting him while she was on the streets. He and Gypsy was supposed to act like she asked for his room number so she could go straight to his room. I asked Nicholas if he could go back and change anything. What would he change? Nicholas said, I would have. The thing is, this is something me and Gypsy have talked about at least 100 times since we have been able to live together these days, that she has been able to be with me. I kept on going back, and I kept on asking her, because this is the question I kept on asking her. Before I asked her if I was the one who asked her before we did this killing that happened. I was the one who actually asked her, are you sure you wanted me to do this? And then she said yes. And after she said yes, the rest of the story, as you already know. But the question I kept on asking her besides that, I asked her, are you willing to risk everything to have everything you ever wanted? And that's part of the reason why she risked her old life to have one with me. That's the manipulation right there. He thinks she risked everything to be with him. And that's not her reasoning for why she killed her mom or attempted murder twice before ever meeting him. I explained to Nicholas that with all he had said, he did not answer the question. I again asked, what would he change, if anything, about what has occurred? Nicholas responded, oh, how this happened. Oh gosh. Well, the thing is, I would rather not have killed Dee Dee, to tell the truth, because that's the main thing I regret the most out of the entire thing. At 02:02:45 into the interview, I again exit the interview room, at which time Sergeant Hancock entered the room to take photographs of Nicholas. Please see the supplemental photograph log reference to his contact with Nicholas. After Sergeant Hancock finished photographing Nicholas and Sergeant Hancock exited the interview room, leaving Nicholas alone inside of the interview room. Nicholas stated, just when they said detectives, it was plural. I'm freaking screwed. I'm freaking screwed. I did that for her and only for her. Actually for us. So yeah, it was for us. I wouldn't have done it if it wasn't for us. She knew it was the only way to be together. See, that's what she has him believing. Because all he's ever wanted his whole life was love, was a female companion. And here comes Gypsy giving him everything he has ever dreamed of. A normal, loving relationship, family companion. And she brings all of this chaos and all of this drama and all of this darkness. Ooh, almost unplugged my microphone there. And him saying that, she knew it was the only way for us to be together. But the thing is, he didn't. He didn't realize that. And that speaks to the manipulation that she has on him. I mean, I'm analyzing every single word. You guys know, every single word. And out of 300 plus supplemental reports, all of the interviews, all of the eyewitness testimony, all of it. I mean, it's really profound when Christy Blanchard literally says, when she thinks she's not being recorded, after they find Gypsy and the detectives talk to her on the phone, she does not realize she is being recorded. And the first thing she literally says to a detective, when it's just her and a detective, and she thinks that this is confidential, is she says, Gypsy is very smart. Gypsy is very smart. Do not let her fool you. That's what her own stepmother said in confidence, in private, to a detective when they found out that Gypsy was located. Isn't that it? It gives you so much more context. Not what they want to tell everybody in a reality show, so Gypsy can try to get a podcast or an interview or a speaking engagement or blow up on social media. That's what her stepmom really thought and felt. And remember, she's almost 24 years old and they hadn't had much of a relationship. But Christy knew enough to say, Gypsy is really smart. Do not let her fool you. To a detective after they locate her. 5 days after they kill her mom. Yeah, it's just... But every single word, analyzing every single word, you know, even going back and going over it really kind of gives me a different perspective. And I've never said that Nick was innocent. I'm not the judge, the jury, or the executioner. I don't get to say, oh, he should be in prison for life, and she gets to be in prison for life. Of course, I think that. But I think if anybody got a plea deal, it certainly should not have been her. And sometimes prison isn't the best place as far as mental health issues. Like Andrea Yates, she's in a psychiatric facility. Kind of what they did with Ed Gein. Sometimes that's a better place. Somebody can still be productive and a contributing member to society in their own small way, whereas they might not be able to do that so much in a prison setting. And not only just make their life count for something, but they also get the psychiatric help and therapy that they truly need. So, yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy that he actually knew. I'm freaking screwed. I am freaking screwed. And I did that. I did that for her. And only her. Actually us. So yeah, it was for us. But I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have done it if it wasn't for us. She knew it was the only way to be together. I would apologize to everyone. Everyone except for Dan. Dan is the only one I would not apologize to. Apparently, she decided to go with it. Like, screw it. Me, I actually held it together until I learned she didn't lie. And I said, screw it. I'll just tell the truth too then. I really realize how screwed I am right now. He says something, but it's inaudible. The thing is, if I tell the truth like I just did, yeah, it fucking sucks. Just having to say it. I really just want the best possible outcome to this as possible. So I wonder what it is. Hold on. This is one big paragraph. What it is. I want to know what it is. She said she would get the best. He says something. It's inaudible. For me as possible. The reason I said all this was because it's better to just let it all out. Honestly, I don't think there is anything else I can do anyway. I really don't like this situation at all. I mean, I feel horrible and I miss Gypsy. Don't get me wrong. The thing is, I thought she was going to protect me, but then she told the truth. I don't know if she did it because he says something inaudible. I got a question for that lady. Does Gypsy even want to see me? I feel like she betrayed me. Where is that lady? She said she would be right back. She is probably crying because she realizes he says something that is inaudible. Is someone really checking on Gypsy for me? Please. I got this weird feeling that she is freaking crying because what she did to me. He says something inaudible. I know the magic words too. Pleading. I'm going to use he says something inaudible. See if it works. I hope she comes back in here soon. I can't believe she gave me up. I can't believe this. I better be able to see Gypsy. I just want to be able to hold her. Tell her. He says something inaudible. Because right now, you made me take the fall. You say you're sorry. You should have realized. He says something inaudible. Let me take the fall. It'll be a lonely night after night. It doesn't. I really wish that Gypsy could say hi to me. I wish I could just hold on to her. He says something inaudible. To hurt as badly as I do. He says something inaudible. Detectives. The thing is, I already feel guilty. There is no reason to punish me for something I'm already guilty of. Makes no sense punishing them for something they already know they're guilty of. Meaning, he says something inaudible again. There is no need to sentence me to anything. That's a one-time thing. I'll never kill again. I freaking waited 26 years to freaking kill one person. I hope that's the only person I ever have to kill. The DVD recording of my interview with Nicholas Godejohn has been logged into the Greene County Sheriff's Office property as evidence. The original Greene County Miranda form has been logged into the Greene County Sheriff's Office property as evidence. And of course, you can see the Miranda form, Nicholas Godejohn, case number, and it says Waukesha County, it says schooling, all of that. Before we ask you any questions, you understand your rights. And he, of course, signs all of that. Waiver of rights. Nicholas Godejohn signs down at the bottom. And that is all 10 pages of the summation of the interrogation of Nicholas Godejohn plus page 11, which is his Miranda rights form. And yeah, that's it. I just cannot believe that last paragraph. When he was alone inside of the interview room. It's the paragraph literally takes up the majority, like over 2/3 of the entire page. That is him going back and forth with himself. Between what he was manipulated to believe for 2 years and 8 months and the realization of what is actually happening to him. Because he goes back and forth constantly. And I know it's really weird me having to read it like that, but that's exactly how he is saying it. And I know you guys have probably seen the interrogation. It's down in my interrogation playlist. But when he says that, I got a question for that lady. Does Gypsy even want to see me? He still wants to know if she wants to see him and loves him. And he's still expressing love and care for nothing but her. But then he's also saying at the very end of all of this interrogation, I feel like she betrayed me. Like, you can see that he's like wrestling with the reality of what is actually happening. And the things that he has been manipulated and conditioned to believe to be true. And those things are at odds. And that's why we see him saying the weird things that he's saying, because it's like he's trying to make sense of what is happening to him in that moment. But his concern is his love for Gypsy. And so you can see that. I can't believe this. I better be able to see Gypsy. I just want to be able to hold her and tell her. But because right now, you made me take the fall. So he's like going back and forth between the things she told him for nearly 3 years and the things that actually happened. Now, of course, he doesn't realize that the detectives, of course, played a longer game with him, telling him that, Gypsy's over there singing like a bird right away when she actually wasn't. But that's besides the point. That's besides the point. It's here at the very, very end of this interrogation. He says, it makes no sense to punish somebody for something they're already guilty of. And he talks about how it was so hard. He doesn't like the situation at all. He feels so horrible and he misses Gypsy. And just the way that he says this, it's like so terrible because he had no advocate there. He had no mental health or autism advocate there with him. They're just like, you're 26, you're an adult, you're on your own. Doesn't matter. And the fact that he's just trying to grapple with this all on his own. It's like the sad story of his life. He just longs for a relationship and longs to be loved like any young man or woman does. And he finds, out of millions of women across planet Earth, millions of women in the United States, he comes across this one. And it profoundly changed his life forever, for the worse. Meanwhile, she gets slapped on the wrist with a sweetheart plea deal. It's crazy. There's no need to sentence me to anything. I'll never kill again. I freaking waited 26 years to freaking kill one person. And I hope that's the only person I will ever have to kill. So see, like, still in his mind, him, from his perspective, him killing Dee Dee was, like, he's not understanding that he had a choice. He even says that, or it kind of implies that when he says that he did this for her. Well, I kind of did it for us because it was the only way. She knew it was the only way for us to be together. And then he says, I hope it's the only person I ever have to kill. So from like his perspective, him saying the things that he's saying, the way that he is wording them, Gypsy is the one that made him believe that to be true. But what he cognitively is not understanding or grasping is that he did have other options. Now we know Gypsy knew she had other options because she displayed and exhibited that she knew she had other options. She had access to electronic devices. They had a PC, laptop, tablet. She had a phone. She had access to her mother's phone. You don't see people that have been abducted and sexually assaulted for years and years and years sexting their boyfriend for almost 3 years with a cell phone. Right? They try and try again until they do get free or get out or have an opportunity. You guys know all of the big ones. I don't even have to say it. And I really mean like Amanda Berry, Elizabeth Smart, you know, people like that. You didn't see them being held captive from as an adult or child or anybody like that for years. You don't see them having access to a cell phone and the internet. Otherwise they would have got out sooner or called for help sooner, right? I don't know. So in relation to this, in relation to, because I have the interrogation, I've seen it so many times, I've watched it, but really reading the summation of exactly what is said from an outside objective perspective and the actual words as they're said, it gives me a different perspective other than just seeing the video. And it's the same thing with video descriptions. As you can see what is said, you can see what is objectively said from the outside. It's different than visually seeing it always. Yes. But that's why I was going over casebook number 2 and why I was going over the supplemental reports, because there's over 300 plus of them. And it's really heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking because he is culpable and he admits that. And this is why I think the Innocence Project won't even pick up looking at his case, because according to the law, he did it. According to the law, he admitted it, and he has admitted that. And I think that's a level of responsibility that even Gypsy Rose Blanchard herself has not come to yet. She still wants to say things like, I don't identify with being a murderer. But girl, you are. It doesn't matter if you took a plea deal for second degree, which is a lesser offense than what you actually did. Because the Missouri statute says for first degree premeditated homicide, above the age of 18 and under. Why? Because it is a capital punishment state. They don't put, by federal law since 2005, the Supreme Court ruled that if you are under the age of 18, they no longer sentence any minors to execution. So that's why it's separated. Because the only punishment, if you're a minor, is life imprisonment. But above the age of 18. If you are above the age of 18, anyone who knowingly causes the death of another person after deliberation upon the matter. And we know there is a preponderance of evidence that she deliberated. She tried to attempt murder on her own mother twice before ever even meeting Nick in October of 2012. Because those both took place in 2011. And we know that the incident with the BB gun on June 14th of 2011, her mom had to go get emergency treatment for such. And not only that, we know that she definitely shot her more than 10 times. And we know that she lied and covered for Gypsy. Which is also boggling to me that the police didn't at least investigate and look at the Walmart CCTV footage, because usually their cameras record for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. Sorry, my son just got home from the gym. Oh, Bosco! My friend Dennis got me something. Look, oh my goodness. I cannot believe this is so cool. Bosco, look what I got. Let's see if we can open it real quick. This is so nice. Dennis the Menace. Look what he got Mama. Look what he got Mama. I know. Oh my God, I can see what it is. This is so cute. Look, it's a pug blanket. Oh my goodness. Look, it looks like you. It looks like you. Oh my goodness, this is so cute. Oh my goodness, look at this. Hold on, let me see if I can show you. That is so cute. What does it say? It says, I puggin' love you. Just a girl who loves pugs. Oh, that is so cute. Come here, Bosco. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come see Mom. Good boy. Good boy. You want to say hi on camera? Say hi to everybody. Who is that? Is that Bosco? You going to say hi? What's it smell like? Okay. Good boy. Good boy. Okay. So anyway, like I was saying about the Nicholas Godejohn stuff, it's just really sad to me to see that and to see how he's trying to grapple with the things that he has been conditioned to think versus the reality that he finds himself currently in. And like I said, I didn't say that he ever or never lied throughout the interrogation, but the very first paragraph out of these 11 pages, well, 10, because the 11th is the Miranda form. The very first paragraph, he does try to say kind of he and Gypsy's story, that he came to Spring. All of that's true, though. He had the pizza that they got, the food or the drinks that he had gotten, going to the soda machine, and then just Gypsy's just there. What I said was that nothing in that was not true. It was 100% honest, the things he was saying. But he was omitting the fact that he went to Gypsy and Dee Dee's house at all. And that is where the murder occurs and happens. So he doesn't lie, but he omits that whole section because he and Gypsy do have a story. And it kind of seems like he's trying to go along with that narrative. But he even says that he was in this room, in that room, and that he got Papa John's pizza and then Domino's, and that he gotten this soda, that soda. So I thought he was a lot more forthright and honest than Gypsy was. In my opinion. And we've watched the interrogation. We know what happens and how all that is. But just seeing it in words and seeing the way that he was trying to grapple with this, the fact that he was starting to realize that if Gypsy went in there and just sung like a bird, which we know that's not true. He's like, she betrayed me, but I really want to hold her. I'm just so worried about her. Can that lady come back? Because I really need to talk to her. Like, I'm trying to hold it together, but I'm so screwed right now. And then he's like, but she told me to do it. She wanted me to do it. And it's just so profound to me, actually seeing the words like this. And that he would apologize to everyone except for Dan. Dan is the only one I would not apologize to. Apparently, she decided to go with it. Like, screw it. Me. I actually held it together until I learned she didn't lie. It's like he doesn't have, it's like Gypsy. She doesn't have this deeper cognitive understanding that some people have, but she's smart in a different way. She's smart in a manipulative and a conniving kind of way. But yet she wasn't smart enough. And just the crime overall, like such a heinous crime, trying to clean it up, but yet she didn't. They left blood on a flour bag on the counter and all over the kitchen. Which kind of tells you, like, she's smart in certain ways, but she's not in others. And I think that's what's led us to now. It's been over almost 2 years exactly since she's been released from prison. And we see toxic spaces everywhere on social media due to Gypsy. Whether you are a friend, a supporter, a family member, or you're a creator, or you're anti-Gypsy, whatever. Whether you have a podcast or you're on Reddit or Discord, it's like people have their own opinions and thoughts either which way. But one thing nobody can deny is that real people have been hurt in the last 2 years. Like, people have lost, look at Ryan Anderson. People have lost not just one job, but two. People have lost their livelihood. People have had their jobs called. They have been cyber stalked. They have been stalked. They have been threatened, harassed. They have been bullied and cyberbullied. They have had their children's schools called. They have had so many things done. Slandered, defamed, libeled even. It's just all comes back to the common denominator of Gypsy Rose Blanchard. And she will put in her public social media anything that she thinks reflects what a real celebrity puts on there. And we notice that she likes to do the clapping back in the comments. Why? Because she can quickly delete it before TMZ or People Magazine gets hold of those comments. And with mainstream media like that following her social media accounts, she's mimicking what she thinks real celebrities or public figures, what they really post. And I noticed that with her. She's very careful with how she tries to streamline, this life of being a survivor and all of this. It doesn't reflect who she really is either. And that's why I say she's like a chameleon, because she doesn't really know who she actually is or what she actually likes, what her style is. She's still very much copying and mimicking Mia. And Mia wouldn't have the platform she has if it wasn't for Gypsy and Gypsy's crime, because Gypsy wouldn't have the platform if it wasn't for her crime. The story was so preposterous and outlandish that people started digging into it and looking into it. I did. Because I said, especially right off of, the heels of the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial and the case and all of that. And then seeing this woman make this false allegation against her own husband when she never mentioned it in 9 years. And she's being sued for defamation. Okay, so the whole takeaway out of that whole entire thing is that it is when he says that she knew it was the only way to be together. She knew that. She convinced him of that. But he doesn't actually have the cognitive ability, it seems, to realize that there were other options that he could utilize to help her. And that just really speaks to his level of manipulation by Gypsy. And the fact that he says, I have freaking waited 26 years, never killed anyone, never killed a person. And I really hope that is the only person I'll ever have to kill. Meaning he had to for her. Not because he has these fantasies, not because he wanted to, not because he's a violent person. In fact, he says his parents will tell you that he's never done anything. They've never seen him ever do anything evil. Who was trying to coerce the evil out of him? Gypsy was. So we know that. We know that for a fact. But coming off of the heels of the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp drama, and I had met Johnny Depp in the summer of 2011. I have a picture with him. I have a drumstick from him. I have his sweat towel too, actually. And right when all that was breaking, so I remember that trial, and it was just so crazy that while she's cutting off his finger and committing grave bodily harm in Australia, she's trying to say that while he was literally having to be rushed to the hospital, that's when she is sexually assaulted by Johnny Depp. And that's, of course, what right there broke down the entire lie in front of the jury. Was they're like, how did he do that? Especially when his dominant hand, the hand that he, has to have to play guitar, has a finger, an actual limb cut off of it. And you're saying he held your hips and held your throat and then somehow grew a third arm and was able to grab a bottle to then do the essay with. It was so funny trying to watch, but that's actually what caught my attention. On October 12th of 2023, 2.5 months before she was released, Lifetime dropped on their YouTube channel a trailer for the prison confessions of Gypsy Rose Blanchard, and it says it was going to air on January 5th, and it's still there. You can look, you can go see. The date's still there, everything. I did my first TikTok that day because I noticed something in that trailer and a couple of the other trailers that they had posted. I look it up, and sure as shit, she got granted parole. She was due to be released around December 28th. And of course, we know now she was. And I said, unpopular opinion, but that you can commit first-degree premeditated murder and get out in 8.5 years? What? I got so much shit. It took about 6-7 months, but people started seeing. Yeah. It was really crazy. But the thing that really made me start talking about it was the fact that she was trying to still, because I remember Nick's trial on Court TV or Law and Crime, one of the two, because I watch a lot of the trials. And I remember her trying to run the whole narrative when they said, was the sex consensual? She says yes. But then she tries to say, but when I told him to stop, he didn't. And so the lawyer really nailed her on that, because he already had a signed affidavit by Gypsy admitting that it was consensual. That all of the videos, everything between them sexually was consensual the whole time. So the fact learning in the last 2 years that she also tried to say that another inmate sexually assaulted her and then had to recant that and admit that she lied. And then in the prison confessions, she then was claiming her grandfather did something to her. It's very hard to believe somebody when they have a history of making false allegations of sexual abuse. And the reason why is because her grandfather can testify to the fact that when she was born and Dee Dee had been living back at home, that she really was not born healthy. And she really did have health issues. She was over 2 months premature. She had very low birth weight. She was not even in the 5th percentile for weight, not even like the 10th percentile for height. So she was very small. I could see why she was diagnosed with failure to thrive. But her grandfather is the one that is actually in the prison confessions of Gypsy Rose Blanchard. And I think she got wind of that from Melissa G. Moore or somebody else. And that's why she then says she's never told anybody this, but goes on to say what she says about her grandfather, Claude. Even her uncle Evans says, no, that's not true. That's something that her mom must have put in her head. No, you just don't realize that your niece is evil. And that's something she came up with because she caught wind that her grandfather was going to be in the documentary. And she had to say something to deflect and to defame him. And any normal other person on planet Earth would sue for defamation for that. But the whole thing with that is that she knew that Claude could testify, and he does in the documentary, that Gypsy really did have sleep apnea because she would stop breathing in the middle of the night and the alarm would go off. That he would have to go in there and wake up Dee Dee, or Dee Dee would be rushing in there because of the alarm going off. So that right there is powerful testimony, eyewitness testimony of somebody who was there when she was born, that can say, no, she was not perfectly healthy. There was health issues from the time she was an infant. And that this was real. This alarm was going off in the middle of the night every time she would stop breathing. So it's kind of hard to believe her when she has lied about Nicholas Godejohn and another inmate essaying her when it just simply didn't happen. And then she even tried that with Ryan, that he, and Ryan could have been very controlling. That could be very much true. But then she tried to say that he was abusive. And his lawyer shut that down real quick, especially trying to utilize People Magazine or TMZ to run a story about it. That's pretty evil. And it's pretty evil that mainstream media is allowing her to use them in that way. But luckily for him, he had an attorney that his divorce lawyer was able to shut that down. That story real quick about him scaring her so bad she had to run into the bathroom and hide and call somebody for help. Whatever. But yeah, tomorrow, let's see, the next supplemental report is with a neighbor. It's a neighbor that worked at a gas station. You know what? Let me just do it right now. On June 15th, because this one's shorter. I'll just do this now. This is a neighbor. I'm just going to say her first name is Renata. Renata stated she lives in Springfield, Missouri, which is the same neighborhood as Claudinia. Renata said that she works at a local gas station, and during one of her shifts, she heard from a third party, unknown, that Claudinia's home had been broken into and money and medication were stolen from the home. Renata did not think Claudinia had made a police report. It was Gypsy that took the money and pills. She did not think that Claudinia had made a police report because she found out it was Gypsy. Therefore, she wanted to make the Greene County Sheriff's Office aware of the burglary. I was able to confirm that Claudinia had made a police report on April 18th of 2015. The report reflects money and medication had been stolen from Claudinia's home. I advised Renata that the report had indeed been made, at which time she stated the home may have been broken into again after April 18th of 2015. And Claudinia may have not reported that break-in. However, she could not be certain. She was encouraged to contact the Greene County Sheriff's Office if she had anything further to add. So, okay, next time we'll go into the next one. And that was for contact for those who donated to GoFundMe. And that's a whole page long there. But that's where we will pick up. All right. I love you all. Have a great night. I pray for you all. I hope everybody has a fantastic Christmas and New Year. I really do. I genuinely very much do. Cannot wait to sleep in this weekend. I've had a headache all day. So I love you. I pray for you. And I hope you all have a fantastic weekend.